In this video, we are looking at practice number 23. This is the last practice exercise in this workbook. And table of contents tells me that I need to turn to page 50 to start this one. Because these problems are multiplying and dividing, this is quite a bit of work. So I have put in some graph paper that I'm going to be using, and rather than flip back and forth on you like that, I'm just going to keep this screen in view, and I will read the problems along with you, but I won't flip back and forth because that, if I'm watching these videos, that makes me a little bit dizzy when it's constantly flipping. So I'm just going to read the problems in the background and then work them for you right here. So let me put the page number just up here. And I suspect that some of you are doing this already if your teacher has asked you not to write in your workbook. All right, number one, they want us to multiply. Now I've chosen graph paper just to help you visually follow what I'm doing, but if you don't have graph paper, it's okay. We're just going to write this problem down here. So I have 2 6/10 times 14. Now if that bothers you, you can certainly turn the problem over. If you're multiplying or adding, that doesn't matter. But this really doesn't bother me, so I'm going to just work it this way. You will get the same answer either way. So 4 times 6 is 24, and I'm going to carry a 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. And I'm just writing that down. Don't worry about a decimal until you get to the end. I am moving over underneath this 1, so I'm going to add a 0 here. A lot of people just leave that space, but I like to put a 0 in there to be sure I've moved over. Then 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. And multiplication's partner is addition. And so I'm going to add these two partial products to get 3, 6, 4. I'm going to count my decimal places, and there's only one number after a decimal right there. So I'm going to move in one space and put my decimal right here. So the answer to number 1 is C. And I will come back and fill these in just a little while, but I want to avoid that flipping back and forth. Again, this is that one space that we filled in up there. Okay, let me remind you, if you're having difficulty with these, to please contact your instructor. I think that this is a difficult lesson. It would be for me if it were new to me. So if you're struggling with it, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, number 2. I'm just going to go this direction, I think. Let me put a line between them so we don't run together there. Let me find my problem. I need to be able to read it. This is a division problem. So they want me to divide 0.6 into 2.58. So let's just review our terms a little bit. 0.6 is called the divisor. 2.58 is called the dividend. And we're looking for a quotient. Now, I am not worried about this decimal right there. That one's okay. But this fella has to go. We cannot do a division problem with a decimal in the divisor. So what I'm going to do is move the decimal over to the end. I crossed one space, so I'm going to do the same thing here. We want them to match. If you move one, you have to move the other one. So move them and then take that one straight up. So with division, you place your decimal first. With multiplying, you do it at the end. Now that I have this situated, I'm going to rewrite the problem. You don't have to, but sometimes all of that stuff there gets in my way. So let's rewrite our problem. You've got your division sign. 2, 5.8. And then now all we have over here is a 6 because we have moved that decimal where it needs to go. And then once you get it placed, you just ignore it. You work around it. So I'm going to say 6 cannot go into 2, but 6 goes into 25. Let's use our fingers and count up. Remember, we can't go over. We have to get 25 or less. So 6 times 1, that's my first finger, is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. 30's too big, so pick that one up, your thumb. And this is 4 times. 424. So you subtract. Go ahead and extend that line because the 8 is coming down. Then 6 into 18. That's 6, 12, 18. It is exactly 3 times. And subtract, and you have what's called a terminating decimal. There's nothing else, there's no remainder. So we say that this decimal terminates, it ends. So the answer to number 2 is 4.3, and that is option B. And again, I will come back and fill those in for you. Probably off camera, but I will fix that. All right, number 3. If you have a middle schooler learning to do this, give them some graph paper and it will help keep everything lined up. Number 3, I'm supposed to multiply 4.7 by 3.2. And remember, when I'm multiplying, I don't worry about the decimal until the end of the problem. So here we go. 2 times 7 is 14, and I need to carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And I'm just going to bring it down right here because I'm ignoring the decimal. So I have used that 1. Then I move over a space. 3 7s are 21, so I carry a 2. 3 4s are 12, plus 2 is 14. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just write it down there in order. Then we're going to add our partial products. So we have 4, 10, 5, and 1. 1, 5, 0, 4. And then let's count numbers behind decimals. So here's 1 space. There's 2 spaces. So I'm going to give my decimal 2 scoops. There's 1 and there's 2. So that decimal is going to sit right in there. Those two scoops match those two places at the top. So my answer is 15.04, and that's option D. Number 4, I'm going to move down here. And let's take a look at this division problem. So we have 22.68. This decimal is not a problem. Divided by 8.4. This decimal is a problem. So I'm going to move that decimal to the end, and it moved one place. So I'm going to move this decimal accordingly and bring it right on up to the top, because we're going to work around it now that we have it placed. Remember, with division, you place that decimal first. So the new problem becomes 84 divided into 22. Remember, we moved the decimal, so it now sits right here. And this is the problem that we need to work on. Now this one I can't just count up on my fingers, because 84 is not one of my times tables. If you're very good at mental math, you might be able to do that. I am not very good at mental math. So I'm going to list my multiples of 84 over here to the side so that I can see those as I do this problem. 252. And if you need to stop the video if you want to figure these on your own, please feel free to do that. 336. Remember, 9 is as high as this will ever go. So just for the sake of review, remember that 9 is as high. I'm not going to go to 9 here. I'm going to go to 6 and hope that's high enough. If not, I can always add to it. So these are called the multiples of 84. You just list those down through there, and you'll have them for this whole problem. So the first one, 84 cannot go into 2. 84 cannot go into 22. 84 into 226 would be right here, because remember, we can't go over 226. So I'm going to go with this one. It would go 2 times, 2 times, and that is 168. So let's subtract. Whoa, I hit erase. We don't want to erase. So 16 minus 8, and then 11 minus 6, and then I will bring down this 8. So I am trying to figure out how many times 84 will go into 588. Now I'm close down here with 504, but let's see what happens with the 7. We want to be sure that we get as close as we can. And look at this. That 7 puts me exactly at 588. So this is terminating, the decimal terminates, and the answer is 2.7, which would be answer A. That's a long problem. That is definitely long division. Okay, let's draw a divider line. Try that again. And we will look at number 5. Hopefully it won't be quite as long. This one is a multiplication problem, so we won't worry about our decimal until the end. You have 1.54 times 9. So we will multiply 9 times 4, 9 times 5, and 9 times 1. And then count your places after a decimal. There are 2 boxes there after the decimal. So we'll do 2 scoops to place the decimal. And the answer to this one is 13.86, or C. Okay, number 6 is another division problem. I'm having trouble with my pencil. I can't get it to sit exactly where I want it to, so I'm not sure what's happening there. Number 6. We have a dividend of 2.8. And a divisor of 0.4. We can't have a decimal in the divisor. So I'm going to move it and then move this one accordingly. So this one went one place, this one goes one place, and straight on up. So we're going to put the decimal right up here. And if you want to rewrite your problem, you have 4 divided into 28, and your decimals at the end. I can do the 4s on my fingers because I know that times table. You want to get 4, it can't go into 2, so we want to take it into 28. So using my fingers, I have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. And that's the 7th finger. And it terminates at 28. So it's 7 decimal, which is the same as 7. So the answer to number 6 is B. Alrighty, number 7 is a word problem. So I don't know yet if I need to multiply or divide. A gallon of milk weighs 8.6 pounds. How much do 12 gallons of milk weigh? So let me sketch you a picture here. If that's a gallon of milk, it's 8.6 pounds. That's 1 gallon. Here's another gallon. I'm not going to go all the way to 12, but I want you to get the idea. What am I doing here? I am repeatedly adding 8.6, and that means multiply all the way up to 12 gallons. So what we're doing is 8.6 times 12. So you can put it either way. I like my decimal on the top for some reason, but it doesn't matter. you're multiplying. And remember, with multiplying, we ignore the decimal until the very end. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. Move over to line up. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 8 is 8. Add your partial products. And you get 1032. And then I have to place my decimal. There is one place in the problem, so there is one place in the answer. So it is 103.2 pounds. And that is answer C. And that, if you think about it, that's logical for 12 gallons of milk. It would be very heavy. Always ask yourself, does it make sense? Number 8. Again, it's a word problem, so I really don't know what I'm going to have to do. Linda divides her 5.6 kilometer run into 8 equal parts for training. How long is each part? Well, again, a picture is helpful. If this is her entire run, this is 5.6 kilometers, and she's going to divide that into 8 equal parts. And I don't have enough here, so let me extend my picture just a hair. With graph paper, this is very easy to divide it equally, but you got to have enough boxes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still don't have enough, but it's okay. I know I need one more out here. But what we're doing is dividing that 8 ways. So we're saying 5.6 divided by 8. So I ask myself if I need to move any decimals. And I do not, because there is no decimal in the divisor. This decimal can go straight up. 8 can't go into 5, but it goes into 56 7 times with no remainder. So it terminates at 0.7. So each of these parts is 0.7 kilometers. That's what we're looking for. You divide that total amount into 8 equal parts. So I would choose option A for this one. And I didn't even number this problem. This is number 8. Okay, number 9. Mitch makes $87.50 for working 7 hours. Which 2 statements are true? Well, if he makes $87.50 for a 7-hour shift, let's see what he makes per hour. The decimal can be in the dividend, just not in the divisor. 7 into 8 goes 1 time with 1 left over. Bring down this 7. 7 into 17 is 2 times with 3 left over. bring down this 5. 7 into 35 is 5 times with none left over. But don't forget that you have this other 0 out there. 7 into 0 is 0 times, and we can terminate it right there. So he makes $12.50 per hour. I'm liking option D. And to find that, what did I do? Did I divide or did I multiply? I divided. So the two answers for number 9 are D and E. Number 10. A machine stacks metal sheets on top of one another. Each sheet is 2.7 millimeters thick. How tall is a stack of 50? So let me sketch you a picture here. Let's say that this is one sheet and that is 2.7 millimeters. Very, very thin. So I'm going to take that same a copy of that sheet, another one just like it, and I'm going to stack it. Try to, right there. And then another one. And then another one. And then another one. So what am I doing? Am I dividing? Or am I repeatedly adding? We're going to do that 50 times. All the way to 50 times. That's a multiplying problem. So 2.7 times 50. Now you can just bring your 0 down and move on over to the 5, but let me show you why that is. 0 times anything is 0. 0 times anything is 0. Put your placeholder in. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Add your partial products. And then place your decimal. There is one decimal place, so we want one scoop down here. And so the decimal will sit right there. 135 millimeters. And that is answer B. Number 11. A ketchup packet has 32 hundredths of an ounce of ketchup in it. How much ketchup is in 30 packets? So there's a packet of ketchup that has 32 hundredths of an ounce. There is another pack of ketchup, and another pack of ketchup, and another pack of ketchup. So I'm repeating this process, these packages, all the way up to 30 of them. So we are saying 32 hundredths times 30. Again, if you can remember that zero trick, you can just bring it down. That's fine. But I'm going to multiply it through in case your brain doesn't think that way. 0 times anything is 0. 0 times anything is 0. 0 times anything is 0. Put your placeholder in there. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 0 is 0. And then add your partial products. 0, 6, 9, 0. Count your places. There are 2 numbers behind a decimal, so you need 2 scoops in your answer. .6 ounces. I like option A. 9.6. Number 12. One quart of paint covers 42.5 square feet. How many quarts are needed to cover 136 square feet? So let's imagine that I have a wall in my house and that I have measured that wall and I know that it is 136 square feet. And I go over to Lowe's and I buy a quart of paint and put it on the wall, and it covers 42.5 square feet. So I buy another quart of paint and another quart of paint. I'm dividing, guys. I'm taking that 136 and I'm dividing that by quarts of paint. So 42.5. I need to move this decimal, which means I also have to move this decimal and then bring it straight on up. So that's a 0 as a placeholder. So once you get that decimal placed, here is the new problem. 425 divided into 1360. And here's the decimal. So let me list some multiples of 425. 425 times 1 is 425. 425 times 2 is 850. 425 times 3 is 1275. 425 times 4 is 1700. And that's bigger than my 1360. So I'm going to stop there with the multiples. All right, 425 can't go into 1 or 13 or 136, but it goes into 1360 3 times. And that would be 1275. And I'm going to subtract right here. So this becomes a 10. And this becomes an 8. And these are zeros. Now, this answer did not terminate. So let's go ahead and add a 0 and bring it down to see if we can get it to terminate. 425 into 850 is 2 times, and there it terminates. So the answer to this question is 3.2 quarts of paint that I will need to cover this wall. And that is option B. Tough one. There's a lot of work in that one. Number 13. Jackson walks through the woods and places a mark on a tree every quarter of a mile. He places 14 marks on his walk. Which two statements are true? So here's a picture. Here are the woods. Imagine that there are trees in there. I won't try to draw them. But here's where he starts. And every 0.25 miles he places a marker. So he walks quarter of a mile, puts a mark on a tree. He walks another quarter of a mile and puts a mark on a tree. He places 14 marks. So he does that 14 times. So we're going to multiply on this one. 0.25 times 14. We don't know the total distance that he walked. Not yet. We're about to. 4 5s are 20. 4 2s are 8 plus 2 is 10. 4 zeros are 0 plus 1, and we have used those. Put your placeholder in there. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 2 is 2. And then let's add our partial products. So we get 0, 5, and 3. And then we need to place the decimal. It's 2 places, so that's 2 scoops. 3.5, at least 3.5. And that is option A. And how did we find that? We multiplied the number of marks by 0.25. So it's F. Number 14. Every 12.5 minutes, Jeff checks his work email. How many times does Jeff check his email in 250 minutes? So I'm going to take the 250 minutes. It's a little over 4 hours. We're going to divide that by 12.5. And hopefully you realize there's a problem here. I've got a decimal in the divisor. So I'm going to move it to the end and move this one accordingly, and then straight on up to where it's going to finally be placed. So place your decimal, add a 0, and then we're ready to divide 125 into 2,500. And the decimal is at the end of the 2,500. So let's list some multiples of 125. This one might take a while. Or it may not, because there's that 250, and I see that under the house in this division problem. I'm going to stop right there. I can always add to that list, but let's see if this might do it for us. 125 cannot go into 2 or 25, but it can go into 250 two times. 2 times 125 is 250. So there is no remainder here. But don't forget, you have this 0 to bring down. But 125 into zeros would just be 0. And there is no remainder. So it terminates. That's what I wanted. But my answer is 20. He checks his email 20 times in that amount of time. Okay, number 14, that was 14. Here's number 15. Cindy separates 62.4 ounces of dough into 24 identical circles to make crackers. How much does the dough for each cracker weigh? So we are taking 62.4 ounces total of dough, and we're dividing that up into individual crackers that are 24 in total, 24 crackers. So we're in good shape. We don't have to move any decimals. We just need to list our multiples. So 24 times 1 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. 24 times 3 is 72. 24 times 4 is 96. I'm going to stop there, see if this might be enough. If not, I can always add to my list. So 24 cannot go into 6, but it can go into 62 two times. And we see in our list that that is a 48. So let's borrow 4 and 1. Decimals just stays up there, but this 4 needs to come down. So 24 into 144. I do need to carry my list a little further. 24 times 5. 24 times 6. There it is. 144 is 6 times. And we get it to terminate right here, so we can stop. So each cracker is 2.6 ounces of dough. I would go with C on that one. Number 16. Yvonne's car gets 24.8 miles per gallon of gas. How many miles can Yvonne drive with 10.2 gallons? So if this is 1 gallon of gas, she gets 24.8. That's per gallon. There's 2 gallons. 3 gallons, 4 gallons, all the way up. I won't do it to you. to 10.2. So we are saying 24.8 times 10.2. And with multiplying, we ignore the decimal in the beginning. 2 times 8 is 16. Sorry. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And 2 times 2 is 4. Move over one place. 0 times 8, 0 times 4, 0 times 2. Move over 2 places. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 2 is 2. And add all of those partial products. And then count your places. You have one place in this decimal and one place in this decimal. So you need 2 scoops coming in here. So the decimal will sit right in there. 252.96 miles is B. We're almost there, guys. This has been a very long lesson, hasn't it? Number 17. Wade gets 3.4 minutes of use from an electric trimmer for every minute he charges the battery. How long does the trimmer work after Wade charges the battery for 12.5 minutes? So on one charge, he gets 3.4 minutes of use. Two minutes, 3 minutes, and he does that 12.5 times. So this is another multiplication problem. I have 12.5 times 3.4, and we ignore our decimals in the beginning. 20, carry the 2. 8, 9, 10, carry the 1. 4, 5. Put your placeholder in. 3 5s are 15, carry the 1. 3 2s are 6, plus that 1 is 7. And 3 out here. Add the partial products. And count your places. Have 1 in the top and 1 in the bottom. Total of 2. So I'm going to say 42.5 minutes as my answer, and that is A. Number 18. A scuba diver sends a signal to the launch boat every 3.2 meters she descends. How many signals does she send after descending the 54.4 meters? So let's take a look at a picture of this one. I'm going to draw you some water up here. This is the surface, And here is the boat. I am not an artist, guys, but that's the boat. So the diver jumps into the water, and every 3.2 meters she sends a signal back to the boat. So every time she goes 3.2 meters, she's going to send that signal. Now the question is, do we know this distance? If we do, this is a division problem. And yes, we do. We know that this total distance down here is 54.4 meters. So we are dividing 54.4 by 3.2. So the first thing I need to do is move my decimal, just like so. One place, and all the way up. And so my problem becomes 32 divided into 544. And the decimal is after the 544. So we need to do some division here. 32 times 1 is 32. 32 times 2 is 64. So let's see maybe if we can get by with just doing that. This will not go, but this will go one time. And then I bring down this 4. So we got to get to 224 or into that neighborhood. So I need to keep this list going, unfortunately. That's going to be 96, 128. We're getting closer. 32 times 6. Remember, 9 is as high as we can go. 32 times 7. Ooh, there it is. It goes 7 times. And that is 224. So it terminates right there. So she sends 17 signals in that trip down into the ocean. And that should be answer C. Okay, number 19. Or was that 19? No, that was 18. Number 19. Karen buys 12.5 ounces of trail mix that costs $2.95 per ounce. How much does Karen spend? Well, 1 ounce is $2.95 and she buys 12.2 of them. That's a multiplying problem. 2 5s are 10. Carry 1. 2 9s are 18, plus 1 is 19. Carry 1. 2 2s are 4, plus 1 is 5. Move over one place. 2 5s are 10. Carry 1. 2 9s are 18, plus 1 is 19. 2 2s are 4, plus 1 is 5. Move over another place. 1 times 5, 1 times 9, 1 times 2. And add your partial products. 0, 9, 19, 16, and 3. Count your decimal places. There are 3 of them, so we need 3 scoops. 36.99, $36.99. And something is wrong here, so let me see what I've done wrong. I've misadded. I'm sorry. That should be a 5. 9 and 5 is 14 plus 1 is 15. I'm getting tired, guys, and I'm making silly mistakes. But that is answer D. Alright, last but not least is number 20. A brick weighs 4.5 pounds. How many bricks are in a pile that weighs 157.5 pounds? So we do know the total. This is division. If you know the total, you're going to break that down into individual bricks. I think I'm getting the hiccups. I hope not. I can just get through one more here. 4.5, that's 1 brick. So we're going to move this decimal and this decimal. 1 place, 1 place, and then straight up. So it'll sit right up here when we get finished. So we have 45 divided into 157, and then that 5 is now in there, and the decimal is at the end of that number. So let's make a list of multiples. I've got 45 times itself. 45 times 2 is 90. 45 times 3 is 135. 45 times 4 is 180. And I'm going to see if that might be enough. I still may have to add some, but maybe not. So 45 can't go into 1 or 15. It goes into 157 3 times. And 3 times 3 times 45 is 135. And that's 2. And bring down a 5. So I will have to carry my list just a little further. 45 times 5, there it is 225. And we get it to terminate right here. So I think my answer is going to be 35 bricks. And that is choice A. And this very long lesson is now complete. You do have permission to print these pages that I have been doing, these 3 right here, this one, and this one. If you would like to print those, you're welcome to, because those are mine that I've created. I will see you in the next video for the review of this chapter, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.